Hi children, in this video I will be dealing with the life cycle of the malarial parasite called Plasmodium. This is a very frequently asked questions for the board exam. The parasite or the causative organism of malaria is a protozoan called Plasmodium. There are three types or species of Plasmodium, namely Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malaria and Plasmodium falciparum. So genus is the same, Plasmodium. There are three different species, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malaria and Plasmodium falciparum. Of these, the most fatal is falciparum. Very fatal, it is malignant, it causes cancer. Now, this Plasmodium is carried by a vector, and the vector is the female Anopheles mosquito. Not the male, it is the female Anopheles mosquito. She drinks a lot of blood to nourish her young ones. So that she serves as the carrier or the vehicle or the vector for the Plasmodium vivax. So the Plasmodium vivax, today we will be dealing with the life cycle of Plasmodium vivax. Whichever Plasmodium, whether it's Plasmodium vivax or Plasmodium malaria or Plasmodium falciparum, the life cycle involves two hosts. One host is man and the other host is the mosquito. So therefore we call them digenetic because they require two hosts. Now this is a slide of a blood smear. This is indicating a blood smear. In this blood smear you can see in the between the cells or within the RBCs, see you can see this within the RBC, you can see spindle shaped uninucleated wriggly, very wriggly creatures, organisms, which is the Plasmodium. And this stage, which is found in our blood, is known as the sporozoite stage. So once again, the sporozoite stage is spindle shaped, uninucleated and wriggly. They are found in the blood smear if you are infected by the mosquito with malaria. So let's get started with the life cycle of the malarial parasite Plasmodium vivax. First we will start the cycle from this point, which I have highlighted in a rectangle. When a mosquito bites a human and that mosquito is having the sporozoite. Now you know the stage of the Plasmodium vivax, the first stage is the sporozoite. When it has a sporozoite, it injects into that healthy person the sporozoite. And what are these sporozoite? They are spindle shaped, uninucleated, wriggly forms of this Plasmodium vivax. They get into our bloodstream. Immediately from our bloodstream, they get into the target organ, the liver. So this is representing the liver. Now what happens in the liver? The next diagram is showing what happens in the liver. The target organ is they enter the liver cells. See, they enter the liver cells, few of them. See, there are only 4. Okay. Now what happens in the liver cells? They undergo asexual reproduction. So they reproduce or multiply asexually. And see the very same liver cells with a lot of these structures. So when they reproduce, the sporozoite stage, when they reproduce asexually, the new structure is called merozoite. So from sporozoite, they became merozoite. It's in the liver. And now our liver cells is filled with the merozoite. The liver cells rupture. See, the third diagram is showing rupture and release of the merozoites. And these merozoites from this cell, they will attack new cells, not the liver cells, they will attack the RBCs. So now they entered our RBCs. Now one got into the RBC. Next stage you can see what happens is this one multiplied. Here also it is multiplying by asexual reproduction. and these products are called gametocytes. So, we saw from sporozoites, it became merozoites in the liver cells, and then it became gametocytes in the RBCs. Now, you can see the RBC rupture. When it is filled with gametry, it ruptures and releases the gametocytes. Here, it is very, very important. When the RBC ruptures, a very, very toxic substance is released, and that toxic substance is called hemozoin. And this hemozoin is only responsible for the characteristic fever of malaria. It is a cycle of fevers that occur 3 to 4 days. It recurs. We will think the fever subsided and we will think we have become normal. No, it will again start off after 3-4 days. So, this is a cycle, episodes of fever after 3 days, chills and high fever. Okay, that is because of the breaking or the rupture of the RBC, which released this toxic substance called hemozoin. Now, we have the next stage, gametocytes. The gametocytes, the property of gametocytes, as the name suggests, it produces the two gametes. Which are the two gametes? The female gamete and the male gametes. Now, we can see this person who is having malaria, his blood is full of gametocytes. It was initially how it entered as sporozoite. Then it went into the liver and became merozoites. Then from the liver it went to the RBC and became the gametocytes. So, now his bloodstream is full of gametocytes. Now, he should be in seclusion, he should be isolated. What if he is with the others? If not, it will not, his disease will not get contracted by air or contact, but if a mosquito bites him and bites another person, it gets transferred. So, let us see that what happens. A mosquito comes and bites him and sucks blood from his body as blood meal. So, what happens? The gametocytes enters the mosquito. Now, inside the mosquito's body, there are the gametocytes. Now, what happens is that the mosquito swallowed it. Now, it is in its intestine, the gametocytes, and the environment in the intestine is very conducive for fertilization. The gametocytes, as I told you, produce the male and female gametes. The female gametes and the male gametes, which is represented here, it fuse to form the zygote. We know it is a universal law of fusion of the egg and the sperm forms a zygote, and this zygote immediately forms a sporozoite. As I told you, those uninucleated spindle shaped wriggly creatures, and immediately these sporozoites, so wriggly, they will not remain in the intestine, they will escape and go to the salivary glands of the insect, of the mosquito, and the salivary gland is filled with a lot of these sporozoites. So, the mature infectious stage, that is the sporozoite, escapes from the intestine and migrate to the mosquito's salivary glands. And now, you can see this mosquito has the salivary glands full with, densely populated with the sporozoites. And now, this mosquito, when it bites a healthy person, it transfers the sporozoite and the cycle continues. So, we notice the two hosts, see, mosquito and man. In man, remember which reproduction is occurring? Asexual reproduction. And in mosquito, which reproduction? Sexual reproduction. This is very, very important. It is as such the entire life cycle, or it can be asked, describe the sexual phase. So, sexual phase, only this part. If they ask to describe the asexual phase, it is this part of the life cycle. Learn to draw with diagrams, and the diagrams which are self-explanatory. So, once again a quick recap: when a mosquito fully equipped with sporozoite bites a healthy person, it injects sporozoites into his bloodstream. These sporozoites immediately get into the liver, and what happens in the liver is these sporozoites enter the liver cells and multiply by asexual reproduction to form the merozoites, and when the liver cells are filled, it ruptures and releases merozoites, and these merozoites attack now the RBCs. Now again, like that way, the first cell with one or few, then it multiplies by asexual reproduction to form the gametocytes. Now when the RBCs are full of these gametocytes, it ruptures and releases the gametocytes. Now we can see the patient has already developed malaria, all the symptoms, full blown symptoms of malaria, and as I told you, rupture of the RBC is releasing a toxic substance called hemozoin that is responsible for that particular fever that recurs, or cyclic fever. That is a specialty of the malarial fever. And this person is full of, bloodstream is full of the gametocytes. Okay, you can see the blood smear with the gametocytes. He should be very careful, because if another mosquito comes and bites him, what happens? That mosquito drinks his blood through blood meal, and lot of gametocytes enter the mosquito's body, and immediately from the buccal cavity it goes into the intestine, where it's conducive for fertilization. There the conditions are favorable. What happens? The male and female gametes fuses to form the zygote and immediately form the sporozoite, and the sporozoite will not remain there. It will go to the salivary gland of the mosquito, and the salivary glands are filled with dense numbers of this sporozoite and ready to bite another person and inject. So, this cycle continues, and this is how malaria becomes an epidemic. I hope you have understood this topic. Thank you.